All right, so hi Danielle, how are
Hi,
you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, good.
Having fun.
Yeah.
It's a convention.
Oh yeah, I'm having loads of fun. I wish I could see all of the speakers and do all this at
Yeah,
the same
no, I
time.
know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like you have to pick and choose which ones you do.
And I am the godless engineer, a conscious pioneer, a logic general, a reason brigadier. More bullshit from the pulpit. Meet me in the comment section and you get schooled, bitch. The godless engineer.
There's this new thing called anisotropic syncope convention.
No idea.
Yeah. Well, I'm wanting to illustrate at what lengths that they're trying to go.
Okay.
And the whole concept behind it is that light travels infinitely fast.
Light
Right.
travels at 186,400 miles per second or something.
Well, yeah. Well, no, they're trying to say that light travels instantly fast, right? So, like, the light that you see out there, like, as soon as it's emitted, it gets here to Earth.
It takes 8 minutes.
Well, no, I know, but then it takes an infinitely long amount of time for it to go back. It averages out to be that number. Like that's how they're explaining like how the whole starlight problem with the creation of the universe. And
Okay. Well, I mean, I am not an astrophysicist. I have taken one physics class ever, and it was a basic entry-level physics class. But yeah, I'm not the right person to ask about this stuff. But my guess is that just like creationists do with geology and a million other related fields, just like creationists do with evolutionary biology, they are talking about things that they know nothing about, that they are absolutely depending on their audience knowing nothing about in order to misrepresent science, in order to push their agenda. They're starting with their conclusion that God is responsible for this, and they're looking for ways to prove it by convincing people of things that aren't true representations of what scientists understand about this. Scientists do not start with the conclusion that there is no God. That's not what methodological naturalism is. Naturalism is saying the only types of explanations that have any explanatory power that are useful to us are ones where we can explore what actually happens, and that's what the process of science does. That's how it works, and that's the whole point of what we do. Once you start making supernatural claims, you're not explaining anything. It's a non-explanation. It's no better to say that God did it than to say that it was magic. It ends the process of looking for an answer rather than beginning. And even if we say God did it, we're still at the same point where we started, which is how. How did God do it? We might as well just have skipped that and ask, how does this work? It's the same question. You're just putting in a middleman who is not necessary and complicates things antithetically to the principle of keeping things as simple as possible in your explanation. It doesn't make sense, but yeah, I mean, these types of conferences, I think probably the best way to explain this that I've heard of, the difference between the way a scientist looks at this and the difference between the way scientists looks at explanations and the difference and the way that a religious person looks at an explanation. If you have a religious person, imagine that you have like a crime scene, you're trying to solve a problem, and you have a murder, say, and you already have a good idea of who your suspect is, and you're trying to convict this person. You are going to be looking for a very different amount of evidence to convict somebody who you know who it is. You're just going to be looking for the minimum of what you need to put that person there, to make your answer fit. You're not going to be, if you don't know what the answer is, if you don't know who committed the crime, then you're going to start looking at all these different possibilities outwardly to try to find anything that might connect, rather than just saying, this person was in this city at the same time. Okay, check. We've got to, he doesn't have an alibi. We're set on him being there at the crime scene. That's not how that works, and for good reasons. Like, if you're really looking for the answer, you have to have a high standard of what's true, and you don't start with your answer. You start with the question, and then you look for the answer, and you always have a degree of skepticism about your answer because we don't know everything, and we admit that, and that's how science works. I wish that more religious people understood that, and it's something that we're working on.
Yeah, and I think you pretty much correctly predicted how they would explain this, because they explain it by saying that you can leave one place on the earth like at 4 p.m. and then go a certain ways, and because of time zones, it's still 4 p.m. and so that's how they explain.
Oh,
like
wow!
This whole it's ridiculous, but I think you perfectly predicted how they would twist it and whatnot. So.
Okay, that's absolutely ignorant about. Not every place on Earth uses time zones. I mean, it's either Russia or China or both. I can't remember. Despite taking up like 5 time zones, is one time zone just for economic and political simplicity. I think it's Arizona or New Mexico doesn't do daylight savings. They just decide not to participate in that. That's not how that works. Yeah. And again, they're depending on ignorance. They're just that's all religion ever has been, is depending on ignorance. And that's why education is important. That's why we do education. That's why we have conferences like the American Atheist National Convention with speakers to educate people. It's also about community building, of course. That's I think the main reason people keep coming back is for the people that they meet here and the fun that they have. But yeah, education is a huge part of what we do. It's why we host debates. It's why we have a magazine and a website and a newsletter and all this stuff. Education is the cure for ignorance, which is the cause of religion.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, again, thank you very much for talking with me and the interview. And I can't wait for the rest of the day.
Great. Yeah, thanks.